Hello everybody, welcome back to MTG Bulk Mythic. Today we're finally cracking into that set booster box of Strixhaven. Before we get into it, we'll check out some of the goodies I got from my LGS because that's where I buy the vast majority of my sealed product of all different types. In this one, the Buy a Box promo was Dragon's Guard Elite. Check out that extended art foil. It's a 1 and a green 2/2 with Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Dragon's Guard Elite. And you can pay 4 green to double the number of +1/+1 counters on Dragon's Guard Elite. So that's a pretty cool card there, allowing you to get a quick 2/2 out. In addition to that, TC's Rockets included a cool little sticker. It's just a silhouette of their store logo. So I'll probably throw that onto a water bottle or something a little bit later on. And like I was talking about in those pre-release pack openings, they provided one of each of their custom tokens for the set, which are all the pets. That's a pretty cool add-on that they have. You can also go there and buy in their store and on their online store any number of the custom tokens that they make, and there's a lot more other than these. I'm probably going to be picking up some cat tokens in the future for my Ren and Siri deck because I'm going to be running all the dog creatures. And then I'm going to need the cat tokens off of that triggered ability to then sacrifice to my outlets. So I'll be getting some from them for that deck once I get it kind of built up, which will be pretty fun. But in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and open up this box. Now, like I was saying before, the last set booster box that we did for the previous set, we did in 6 videos. I think that took a little bit too long for us to get through the box. So in this case, we're going to do it in 3 videos. We're going to be opening up 10 packs per video. This way, I can talk about the cards that I want to talk about, but it's not taking so long to get through the box because in about a month, maybe a month and a half now, because they had to push it back a week, we're going to be looking into Modern Horizons 2. So I'm going to see what that product is going to cost and how much of it I want to get, but I do want to open some of that on the channel. Looking like that latest announcement from Wizards of the Coast, opening sanctioned in-store play back up in North America here in the next few weeks is going to be pretty good. It looks like right now the restrictions in my area is going to allow the stores to at least have some in-store play, so I'm going to see what's available. With that being said, it doesn't look like Modern Horizons 2 draft booster boxes are going to be just up for sale. They're probably going to hold on to those for the in-store play. But before we spend too much time on that, we're still in Strixhaven, so we're going to crack open these 10 packs from the set booster. Now, these are the looser packs, and the thing with these, I think this might be a Japanese box. I'll check it. But you pull it up like that, it'll let some air into the pack, and then you can pop them. I'll only do that for this one here. I don't want to blow out the sound, but that's another way to open these things up if you don't have the ability to kind of tear them down. But first we start out with the art card. There's the Blood Demon there. We got a land. And our first rare right out of the gate is our lesson, Academic Probation. 1 and a white for a sorcery lesson that you can choose one of the modes, which the first one is choose a non-land card name, and opponents can't cast spells with the chosen name until the end of your next turn. And then choose a target non-land permanent until your next turn. It can't attack or block, and its abilities can't be activated. It's a sorcery, lasts for a whole turn cycle, either not allowing your opponents to cast spells of a specific name or like a short-term banishing light or pacifism. We got Campus Guide, some Prismari commons and Prismari uncommons. And then we've got Blade Historian as our next rare. And our Mystical Archive card is Thrill of Possibility, followed up with a foil Twin Skull Shaman. And here are the mini games again. They included those in there. I haven't had a chance to try any of those out. Don't have anybody to really play against, and I haven't had any extra packs per se to put into playing these mini games, because before we get into this next one, it's like here, 1 player, 1 pack. So this is an individual game, like a solitaire game, but it's just basically other ways to use their booster packs. And obviously, if you're opening up booster packs to play little mini games, then you will buy more booster packs. But here is the Silver Quill modal card here, and this one actually has the foil stamped signature on it. So it's Silver Quill Command art. That's pretty cool. So I'm not sure. I haven't seen as many of those foil stamps in the last box that we had. We had another Prismari set of commons here. And then looks like Lorehold uncommons. And a Verdant Mastery. But I'm not exactly sure what the ratio is for these signed cards coming out. Verdant Mastery is 5 and a green for a sorcery at rare that you may pay 3 and a green instead. That is, you may pay 3 and a green rather than pay its mana cost. And you can search your library for up to 4 basic land cards. Reveal them, put one of them onto the battlefield tapped under an opponent's control if you paid the reduced cost. Put 2 of them onto the battlefield under your control and the rest into your hand. So if you don't pay the 6, if you pay 4 instead, you have to give 1 to an opponent. You get 2 into play and the last 1 into your hand. Or if you pay the full cost, you get 2 into play and 2 into your hand. And a Mystical Archive Duress with a foil Wormhole Serpent. So we'll try to keep it pretty quick. I'll talk about the rares and any other cards that I see in these packs that I'm particularly fond of or that I think are any good at all in the format. I've been playing a little bit of draft. I haven't really gotten into standard yet for this set. I will get a little bit deeper into it as we go along. We are getting a lot of Prismari cards. It's the third set of commons that are Prismari for us. And then we've got some Lorehold uncommons. Moving into our rare, Tempted by the Auric. 1 in blue. For a sorcery, for each opponent, gain control of up to 1 target creature or planeswalker that player controls. Mana value 3 or less. So it's a control magic for the entire table, but only for 3 or less mana values. And then we've got Tainted Pact as a mythical archive card. 1 in a black for an instant to exile the top card of your library, and you may put that card into your hand unless it has the same name as another card exiled this way. Repeat this process until you put a card into your hand, or you exile 2 cards with the same name, whichever comes first. So it's a May ability. You choose if you want it in your hand, or if you want to leave it in exile, and then you move on if you've left it in exile. And then Blood Researcher foil. You can continue to do that until you essentially deck yourself, or you exile 2 cards of the same name, or you've chosen a card to put into your hand. I can see that being pretty good in Commander because it's basically go through your library until you get to the card that you want, but the rest of it remains in exile. So it can be pretty dangerous there, but who knows. So our commons, we only have a couple of commons this time after our obligatory lesson. They're both green. And then moving into the uncommons, let's see what we got here. So we're going to have a handful of uncommons. It looks like we got blue and black. So that's not exactly a college, but pretty interesting combination there of some control cards. And then we've got for a rare, we've got the Dean of Chaos, 2 mana 2/2 with tap and rummage, or pay 4 in a red to tap and reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-legendary, non-land card. Mana value 3 or less, and you can cast that card without paying its mana cost. Put the rest of the revealed cards not cast this way on the bottom of your library. So it's pay 5 and tap it to get a 3 mana spell. I'm not too sure about that. But then there's Augusta, Dean of the Order, and this is the one that gives you the pump, whether they're tapped or untapped, but it untaps all your attackers, and then you can choose to retap them. So it's a pretty interesting little trick there. But we do end up with a mythic with Kasmina, the Enigma stage, 1 green-blue for a 2 loyalty planeswalker, Kasmina. Each other planeswalker you control has the loyalty abilities of Kasmina, the Enigma stage. So it's the reverse Nika Bolas. Instead of absorbing all the other planeswalkers' abilities, she shares her abilities with the rest of the planeswalkers. And those abilities are +2, scry 1, -X, create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token, Put X +1/+1 counters on it, and -8, search your library for an instant or sorcery card that shares a color with this planeswalker. Exile that card, then shuffle. You may cast the card without paying its mana cost. If you're playing this in a deck that's more than just green-blue, and you have planeswalkers of your other colors, you can use that -8 off of them to get spells of their colors. So that's pretty neat. And then we got Divine Gambit and a foil Ardent Dust Speaker. So I actually drafted this in a premier draft that I'm currently playing. I'm 2-2 in it right now. The ability to put your good instants and sorceries from your graveyard back on the bottom of your deck and then flip 2 more cards that you might play in a turn, that dug me out of a very deep hole in a match that I didn't think I was going to win. So that card advantage is pretty good. You know, it's not perpetual because you're adding 1 card to your library from your graveyard and then exiling 2. And if you don't cast, or sorry, don't play, because you can play lands off of that exile pile too. But if you don't play those 2 cards, they're exiled permanently. So, you know, if you do it too often, eventually you'll run out. But our art card here is Revel in Silence. So far, out of 5 packs, we've got 1 signed art card. This ability in Limited is really good. I even used it, threw him into combat near the end of the game when I knew it could block and be killed, and ended up pulling exactly what I needed to really seal the deal in the game. So we've got Quandrix here in our commons and uncommons. Zimone, Quandrix Prodigy, pretty interesting card there, helping you ramp out. And then we got the Daemogoth Titan. It's 4 hybrid black and green mana for an 11/10 that when it attacks or blocks, you have to sacrifice a creature. I was able to pair this up with the Witherbloom Dragon that creates the pests and got both of them in play. And it was a lot of fun just creating pests to be able to sacrifice to the Titan to keep it around. Compulsive Research here. 2 and a blue is our rare Mystical Archive card. It's a sorcery. Target player draws 3 cards, then discards 2 cards unless you discard a land. And a foil Introduction to Annihilation. Common, colorless removal spell lesson there. Actually really good in Limited. Just being able to learn up a removal spell like that. We've got Chandrix Silverquill here as our art card. And then Pest Summoning as our lesson. And then going into some Quandrix in our commons and continuing in the uncommons. So it looks like they're, instead of having the commons be of one theme and the uncommons being of another, that they're kind of aligning the common and uncommon slot completely with one theme, which makes for a pretty interesting distribution of cards there. But we also have here the Prismari Snarl, which is really good. It enters the battlefield tapped unless you reveal an island or a mountain from your hand, and then it taps for blue or red. The Snarls I foresee, being very popular in Standard, maybe even making it into some of the non-rotating formats because it's not a very restrictive condition to get them to come into play untapped. So I'm looking forward to seeing the value in those. And we did end up with a foil Mystical Archive this time, Divine Gambit. It's an uncommon foil Divine Gambit there. The value of the Mystical Archive cards has kind of come down. I mean, there's been a lot of this product opened. It's a really popular set, even though not a lot of in-store play is going on. We got Lorehold Command as our art card here. But with the store starting to open up, I noticed that singles are starting to climb back up. Now, I was saying it in the beginning, if there are some rares, especially these land cycles, if you're going to play them, you might as well pick them up maybe 3-4 weeks ago or earlier for the modal double face lands, because they were pretty low. But now that there is the promise or the inevitability of in-store play coming back, it's starting to climb back up. People are starting to pick up their paper product, their individual singles that they need to build their modern and their standard decks to start playing in stores again. So be looking for those to start creeping up. If you haven't got them, get in quick, or you're not going to get them. And if you have extras, I would say probably hold on to them, let your stores sell off their stock, and then trade them in for value there, right? Efreet Flame Painter is our rare in this pack. And then we've got a Doomblade rare Mystical Archive card. 1 and a black for destroy target non-black creature. Probably one of the best removal spells in the modern format forward. Our foil is Mage Hunter's Onslaught, 2 and 2 black. For sorcery, destroy target creature or planeswalker, and then whenever a creature blocks his turn, its controller loses 1 life. So you can play that pre-combat, get something out of the way, and then attack, and have that extra threat for the rest of the turn that, hey, if you want to interact, block this combat, then it's going to cost you a little bit more anyway. So if you're not able to clear out all their blockers, then we have the ability then to really, push the math away from them. We have Shaylee, Dean of Radiance, as our art card. And then here's a Forest. Our lesson is Introduction to Prophecy. Moving into our commons and uncommons is Quandrix here. Pretty good. So Needlethorn Drake, I think, is a pretty good card. I think it does. The one thing is missing to really line up with the Coatl in Modern is Flash. It's a 1/1 flyer, flying death touch, but it doesn't have Flash, so it doesn't have that ability to kind of hold back and play at the most opportune time. And here's Harness Infinity. I don't know if this is constructed playable at all. It seems pretty powerful, but to get to 7 mana, specifically 3 black, 3 green in there, seems difficult even in a very well-developed mana base and standard. So we'll have to see how that goes. And then we've got Urza's Rage. So this thing blew me out in a draft on Arena the other day. I thought I was stabilized. I thought I could do it. It's like, okay, I just got to last 1 more turn. I think I've got lethal. And then they cast Urza's Rage with Kicker, which is kind of gross. Because they only had 1 card in hand, and I was like, there's no way they're going to deal all the damage. And then they dealt all the damage. So that was a little unfortunate. And then we finally have a list card here. Fractured Power Stone. 2 mana artifact, tap to add a mana to your mana pool, or tap, roll the planner die, activate this ability only anytime you could cast a sorcery. So this is from Planner Chaos for moving, getting it, changing up those world enchantments or whatever it was. I've never played that Planner Chaos. I'm kind of curious about it. I'm hoping that maybe Wizards eventually comes back around to it as a supplementary product, because I think it'll be fun to try it out. We're going to have another list card in this set. You can always tell because it's either a magic back for a list card or it's a token. So we'll see what we end up with here too. We got Make Your Mark as our art card. Also not signed. So far, 9 packs in, we've only gotten 1 artist signature on these art cards. So I don't know if anybody's out there collecting them. I sure am not necessarily. I hang on to them. I think maybe if we get back to like GPs, Magic Fests, stuff like that, then we can maybe use the back sides of them as so the artists can do custom tokens. If you can find the artist of that card, like, hey, sign the front, and by the way, could you do like a custom token on the back? I think that would be fun to do. But that's obviously in the more distant future. Here we have Accomplished Alchemist, 3 and a green for a 2/5 elf druid creature. Tap to add a mana of any color, or tap to add X mana of any 1 color, where X is the amount of life you gained this turn. So if you're playing a little bit of life gain in green, you can really ramp. Otherwise, it's it's late ramp and fixing. Claim the Firstborn as our Mystical Archive, and a foil Spiteful Squad. Now, Thalia Academy from Eldritch Moon is our list card here. So if a spell or ability an opponent controls causes you to discard a card, you may reveal that card, put it on top of your library instead of putting it anywhere else, and tap to add a colorless mana. So it saves you from discarding a card. Like, if you really need all the cards in your hand, you just have to draw one of them the next turn is all you're doing. And it gives some information to your opponent too that you have that card in your hand. So it's a little bit of give and take there, but I guess it's better than discarding a card. Here we have Kilani, the Ink Duelist from Silver Quill College there as our art card. Spirit Summoning as our lesson, and then we've got Lorehold commons and looking to be uncommons as well. We've got a rare Flame Scroll Celebrant. One in a red for a 2/1 human shaman creature. Say that a few times fast, right? Whenever an opponent activates an ability that isn't a mana ability, Flame Scroll Celebrant deals 1 damage to that player. And then pay 1 in a red. Flame Scroll Celebrant gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So it's only for opponents. You don't get punished for using her activated ability. So a little bit of a Pill of 40 ability there. And on the backside, we have the Revel and Silence white for opponents can't cast spells or activate Planeswalker's loyalty abilities this turn, and then exile Revel and Silence. So the unfortunate thing is if you cast Revel and Silence, the card exiles itself. You can't use any kind of recursion to get the Flame Scroll Celebrant back. And then here is Silver Quill Command as another rare. Whirlwind Denial is our Mystical Archive, and a foil Quandrix Campus. And here's the art. Here's the set card, the list card Phyrexian Tower. It's a rare from what I'm not exactly sure what set that is. Is that Mirrodin Besieged? Scars of Mirrodin? Anyway, you could tap to add a colorless mana to your mana pool, or tap and sacrifice a creature to add 2 black to your mana pool. Pretty cool land there. And that's the first third of the deck. So I think some of the best pulls that we've got have been, the Phyrexian Tower for sure. Looking in here, Flame Scroll Celebrant / Revel in Silence is a good card. I like that one. Gotten a lot of the free painters from those Preludes packs, but any of the Snarls I think are going to be a decent value there too. Kasmina is a pretty awesome Planeswalker. I am really curious if there is any playability in a red-white dwarves deck with the with this pair right here, and the red dwarf that gives you treasure tokens when you tap them from the previous set. Tempted by the Auric. I know there are Commander players out there that are really looking forward to that. Even though it's restrictive on the mana value of what you can get from your opponents, it's still pretty good. Verdant Mastery is just another ramp spell, but I think it's a little bit too expensive. I don't think it's really going to be played, because by the time you get to 6 mana in a green deck, you've probably already ramped at least once, and you're looking to do some better stuff. But some pretty good cards here. A lot of fun things in this. Again, the set looks like it's a little bit. The list cards look like they're a little bit better. Plane Chase. I don't know. Maybe I can get my hands on an anthology out there and have a real chance of playing some of it. But a decent first third of the box. Pretty happy about it. Should have a foil rare hiding out in that box somewhere. We'll come around it eventually, but keep watching the channel. I will be opening up some Jumpstart stuff. One of the Drive to Work podcasts from Mark Rosewater recently was pretty promising in that he stated that they're still producing original Jumpstart because of its popularity. So hopefully we'll keep seeing that trickle out and getting our hands on it. In the meantime, though, I'll open up 7 Jumpstart packs that I got my hands on at TC Rockets and see how that goes. And I'll talk a little bit more about what I do with my Jumpstart in that video as well. If you like what we're doing, or if you're looking forward to what we've got coming, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Like the video if you enjoyed this one. Leave a comment below, or find us on Facebook. Comment on the Bulk Mythic page. And if all else fails, share the video with a friend. Let somebody else out there know that we're sharing our hobby together.